Hello and welcome to another update for the Freedom board. Okay, so today I tried to make a library for several components that are not on Altium's library. So the thing is that you have to make them from scratch, and I tried to contact the factory or the company that sells the components, and they don't sell or they don't distribute the PCB layout. Which is, I mean, it's okay. It doesn't really matter because the components are pretty easy to make. Now, this is not a tutorial or something like that. This is more like recommendations. Yeah, these are more like recommendations for you to make your libraries on Altium. And well, one of the most important things that you gotta figure out is the 3D model. It is sort of necessary for the PCB, especially if you want to integrate something. Well, you always want to integrate something, but the thing is that make sure you always have the 3D model of the component, especially if the component is has a very different shape. Now, I'm making the library for the tower TRACO. I will say tower TRACO power 1-2450 and 33, which they're fairly simple to make, and well, these are some of my recommendations. First of all, make sure to create a schematic library with a name that represents the component, because when you come back and you want to make more or more like add more components to the library, you're gonna be like, oh, what the hell did I did here? It's a real pain to figure out what you did in the past when you have no documentation. And well, that's pretty much it considering the schematic library. The PCB library, it's fairly simple. I recommend you to make a single PCB library, and in the single PCB library add several components, which are every single footprint of every single component. It doesn't really matter because in the end you're gonna be having a lot of files and it's gonna be the same library, unless it's a totally different component, like if you're using op-amps and you're making the library for, I don't know, logic gates. It's very different, so make sure to separate those. And for the schematic library, yeah, you can see that I tried to make a lot of components once I made my mind. And the component, back to the components on the schematic, make sure, and this is very important, if you have, and this is gonna save you a lot of time, if you're gonna use the same component and it's pretty much the same just with a different part number and it doesn't change that much, just copy it and paste it. It saves you a lot of time from drawing and making every single component from scratch, and you gotta keep looking at the data sheet. Always have the data sheet next to you. If you can, you could print it and have it right next to you in the desk, so you can make notes and everything. It's not really necessary. I don't really recommend it because you're pretty much wasting paper, unless you're gonna have it laying around, or you're gonna take advantage of the wasted paper or the well spent paper. Make sure you don't waste any materials. Don't be a dick to the environment. And import the 3D component to the schematic, I mean the PCB library. This is gonna help you a lot to match the pads, because well, it's pretty much the same. It's pretty much having the real component on the PCB layout, and it's gonna save you a lot of mistakes. And as you can see in the video, I actually put the measurements in inches, and then I imported the 3D model and they didn't fit, so I put it in millimeters, which is the good system, and they fit perfectly. Yeah, they pretty much fit perfectly, and that's gonna save you a lot of trouble once you make the PCB, because sometimes I used to design the footprints like I can just bend and connections and everything, and just figure it out once it comes. And no, it's gonna make you work a lot of time extra because you didn't make the PCB layout perfectly. So always try to do that. And yeah. Oh, and when you do the PCB layout, make sure there's a center point, okay? Now the center point, I recommend you to put it on the lower left edge, lower left edge of the component, so you can have the coordinate system on that point, and from there you can see the PCB and the PCB layout on the schematic, on the data sheet, and you can just add the X and Y coordinates, and that's pretty much it. Oh, and after you have to compile, of course, you have to compile the component, the library, and it's gonna be automatically added to the PCB. One thing for sure is that make sure to add as a designator the letter and question mark. This is gonna help you a lot with annotate schematics quietly. And bye bye.